Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the North Mountain Blades Kaiken. This was my first knife from North Mountain Blades. I like a lot of the knives they sell on their site, so it's awesome to finally be collaborating with them. So this is a full-size knife coming in at 8 inches overall, and it has a 3.5 inch Tonto blade, like a Kaiken style looking blade. Got a nice top swedge up here, and your blade steel, as you can see there from that line, this is in their SLD Magic steel. I've had one other experience with the SLD Magic, and that was with this Fulton's knife right here, and I was quite impressed with it. From the research I've done on the SLD Magic, a lot of people say the composition is very similar to D2, which I'm sure when a lot of people hear that, it probably turns them off. But the reason why I like it is because if that's what it is, they're heat treating these properly to like 61, I think, HRC. So they have really good edge retention. So if you look at the two-tone finish there and that line, these are laminated blades. So basically you have a 3-layer system. You have a jacketed layer that is basically sandwiching the core steel in the middle. The top steel is your softer, tougher steel, more flexible and more corrosion resistant. And then that portion has like a bead blasted finish. And then underneath the line right there, which that's where your core steel is, has like a mirror polish finish. And that is going to be your SLD Magic, which has a higher hardness than this outer steel. Your blade doesn't have any jimping on the spine. And that tip is pretty nasty. It's going to be a great piercer. You have I'm going to call that good sharpening choil. You're going to have a few sharpenings before you have to open that up any. Your plunge grind is right here. So you're going to be able to sharpen it to right there before you have to worry about it. So that's going to be a good bit of sharpenings. So I call it good. You have a convex ground blade here with a flat ground Tonto tip for better piercing power, which I'm pretty interested to see how this one performs. Let's find out. This one came with a really good edge out of box, and I was really interested to test another knife with this SLD Magic steel. So far I've had a good experience with the Fulton's M060, I think it is, in SLD Magic. You know, if it is very similar to D2, I would say it would be really good heat-treated D2, at least with the knives that I've tested so far. And, you know, that's only 2 knives, so I'm going to continue to test whatever knives I get in that steel, get a better baseline for it. Now, testing the ergos on this piece of pine, and also just seeing how that edge wants to catch. It looks like the knife was struggling a little bit. It's not. It's just this piece of wood. I was surprised. This thing is very, very comfortable. I'm able to get a lot of force into this wood, way more than I expected. It's a very neutral handle. It is flat scales, but the extra heft was playing a part in that. So kind of felt bad for this knife because these first 2 or 3 cuts, this was part of the glue in the dang sisal rope. But luckily after this, I don't think we hit much more, and it was slicing well. Now, being that you have this Tonto blade up there in the front where I'm doing the cutting, and it's a very short grind height, the geometry is not super, super thin. But it definitely was making this fairly easy to do. There was enough bite to that edge to where it was grabbing the sisal rope, and for the most part, it was comfortable. The scales aren't too thin, and once again, that heft it makes it sit more stable in the hand, if that makes any sense. I wasn't sure about that because I don't buy any knives in bronze or copper. I don't like the extra heft, but I do appreciate them, and I do like the way they look. I also don't like the way my hands smell after handling bronze or copper. But that's me personally. I know a lot of people like it for that, you know, distressed look or aged look, and I like it for that too, just not the other things I talked about. This blade shape is going to be fantastic at doing these cuts on a flat cutting surface. You got belly to that Tonto tip, so that makes it a lot easier. If this was Americanized Tonto and you had a straight, no belly, then I find those to be a lot more difficult to do this type of cutting. You can do the slicing motion cut, you can do push cuts, whatever that edge is sharp enough to do, you can do it. Now, the easiest is just to drag that belly through, you know, whatever material if you're doing it. But look, I'm showing that you can do those fine precision cuts with the tip, but you're going to have to come up almost to a 90 degree, not all the way. The dense materials were no problem whatsoever. It blasted through those effortless, and it never really felt like it fell off. I thought it did a fantastic job. I'm going to sharpen this one up after this. I want to see how well it sharpens. I thought it performed good. Now let's take a look at the deployment action on this one. So this is a front flipper deployer only, and the one good thing about the front flipper, it's going to keep this very streamlined in the pocket. So not really my cup of tea here, but you know, if you like front flippers, it's going to make this one nice in the pocket. So you do have jimping there. I do think it could have been a little sharper. However, it's canted back and it's got a pretty high leverage point there. So literally just pull back on it. It's a very easy one to manipulate. You can do the reach around. You can do the knuckle roll. You can do a slow roll because you can keep contact all the way to the end. And that's pretty much how I've been opening it up. But very snappy, very smooth action. It's a lighter blade, so it does take a few shakes to get down. Riding on cage shrink ball bearings with a ceramic detent ball. They did a good job, I think, personally, with that action. Now let's close it up. Take a look at this handle area. So this is aluminum bronze. I'm guessing that's kind of just like the stuff ProTech uses. This one has like a black washed, stone wash finish over it, giving it like that aged patina look. I think it looks nice. It's going to add some extra heft. They did a great job of softening all these edges because these are flat scales. But if you look at these edges, see how they softened them, rounded them over? Very, very good job here. I mean, this is there's no hard angles there. Even this back portion where they just did like a regular chamfer, they knocked that edge off. There's no sharp spots where you don't want them to be. Very, very good finishing work. Even knock this point off. And there's a macro of your stone wash and finish I'm talking about. This one has speed holes. And if this particular scale configuration isn't your thing, there's several others to choose from if you like the overall design. Very minimal construction here. You have a pivot, which is a Torx T8, as you see there. And your one body screw that's visible is also this clip screw, which they have inset the clip into the frame. Excellent job. Countersunk those screws. Perfect amount of ramp, goes in and out of the pocket nicely. The retention spot is sitting in between those two holes, so I didn't have any problems bunching in my pocket. And it is reversible with a filler tab on that side. Now these are T6 screws for the clip. I do wish they were T8, but not the biggest deal in the world. You have a lanyard hole for the lanyard people that'll easily fit 550. Let's touch on the ergo real quick. I wasn't sure about this one, but the way this one flares in the back right here, and for some reason, the extra heft of these scales make this one extremely comfortable. Now, you have pretty much like a broomstick style handle. There's no crazy choils or anything. You can choke all the way up to that edge if you need to get some really fine precision cuts down. No matter which grip you hold it in, it's going to be comfortable. This pinch grip is also comfortable. If you use that Tonto portion right there, the belly. Like I said earlier, you have the stainless steel liners. This is a liner lock. And the skeletonization is these through holes that go all the way through, as you can see there. But like I said, the bronze is going to bring the weight up on this one, coming in at 5.42 ounces. They had it incorrect on the site. It said like 4 ounces. I calibrated my scale twice, and it comes in at 5.42, which that's what I kind of expected it to be, somewhere in that area. So it is going to be handle heavy on this one, but if you don't like that, then like I said, there's other options to choose from. I think there's like carbon fiber, G10, and I think there may even be one, I think there may be some in M390 steel as well if you don't want the SLD Magic Steel. You have flow through construction, so if you want to blow this out with compressed air or get in there with a Q-tip like I do after I do the testing, just so I can clean out any gunk and debris from the testing. You have these 2 hourglass standoffs in the back right here. This screw is underneath the scale, keeps it a little bit cleaner looking. That's why I wish they wouldn't have put this lanyard hole there, but okay. Like I said, this is a liner lock, and your lockup on this one is about, I'd say 30% or so. Access to the lock bar is fantastic because this comes down lower. They got a nice chamfer there. It's very easy for me to get my finger in there. No problem whatsoever. The lockup on this one, solid. No movement up or down. None left or right. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Now time for some quick size comparisons. Here it is next to the Ontario Wrap 1 and 2 and the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. And lastly, it's very similar length to the Benchmade 940. It's just a hair longer than a Spyderco Yojimbo. Now, being that absolutely no knife's perfect, what are my nitpicks, complaints? First off, it's a hefty one. Now, is that a big deal? No, because there's other handle scale options. They just happened to send me this one. Something else we talked about, I think this jimping could have been a little sharper for being your grip for the front flipper. However, I haven't really noticed myself sliding off of it or anything because of how high it is and the way it's canted back. You know, it's not an issue, but you know, I think that would have made it even easier if that would have been a little bit sharper. I think a lot of it has to do with the blasting that they went over the top with. That leads me to my next thing. I don't ever love seeing a bead blasted finish. I haven't had any corrosion issues yet with this and my other one in SLD Magic. So if that changes this summer, I will definitely let y'all know. And lastly, I wish the clip screws would have been T8 since they use that as your body screw in the back. Not a deal breaker, but I think it would have been nice. But with all that said, what are my final thoughts? If nothing I just talked about was a deal breaker, I think it's a great knife. It's a well-made knife. It's a good-looking knife. Not my typical blade shape that I go for, but I can definitely appreciate it. I love pretty much all bladed objects. I thought it performed well. It was very comfortable. If you're a front flipper fan, this one works very, very well. It's very streamlined in the pocket. And this one right here with the bronze and the SLD Magic comes in at 160 bucks. I definitely think it's worth that personally. And like I said, there's several to choose from. Love to hear y'all thoughts on North Mountain blades. If you've ever experienced any of their stuff, what are y'all thoughts on this particular model? Do you like it? And do you like the bronze scales? So that's going to wrap up today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep these blades sharp, smile more.